lot of guys from your era don't rate the Ultimate Warrior. They bury him a lot. People, and a lot of people tend to do it. But you were kind of saying you thought he was misunderstood from kind of being around him. What was it like being around Warrior when he came in, and why did you think that people misunderstood him?
When he first came in, my knowledge was that he was actually a chiropractor. I'm not really sure if that was true, but he's big, he's built like, he trains like a madman. He kind of kept to himself, but he would talk to people and everything. And then once Vince kind of got his hooks in him, and he changed. It was just like, it wasn't the same guy. I used to work out with him, and we'd go eat and stuff, and hang out a little bit, and travel a little bit together and stuff like that. He just cut everybody off. He had to have his own room. He didn't want anybody else in his room. He had to be by himself. It was real strange, And then he just got real weird. He would, try to do his interviews, and he'd be going, you're like, how's that an interview? But Vince loved him. And, that's all it took, He sucked. He couldn't wrestle. He couldn't wrestle his way out of a paper bag, really. And he loved eating these, we called them truck driver pills back in the day. It was ephedrine. Anybody know what that is? They banned it a while back, but you used to be able to just buy it anywhere, over-the-counter stuff. Warrior would eat 10 of these ephedrine pills at a time. And if you ever watch some of his matches, he'd run around, he'd get in the ring, and then he was so blown up after that he couldn't do anything. He had to walk around for 5 minutes to get his breath again. and that was his style. And I was lucky. I didn't have to wrestle him. I didn't want to wrestle him. Hogan had to, some other guys and stuff, but I was lucky. I counted myself lucky. I just steered clear of him.
Obviously, at WrestleMania 3, you ended up cutting Adrian Adonis's hair, and then Brutus the Barber Beefcake is born. But you come to TV after WrestleMania 3, and they give you the white jacket. They want you to become the barber. And you didn't really like that idea. In fact, Hulk Hogan had to talk you out of quitting. What happened?
Pat Patterson was Vince's right-hand man. I don't know if you guys know that name. But he was a good wrestler in his own right. He was the one that wanted me to do this from San Francisco and do the whole schmoz. And this barber thing, his I don't even know what it's
partner.
Called. His partner his name was Louis, real nice guy, hairdresser, and so they were. This was, I think, Pat's getting back at me. Now Brutus Beefcake's on fire. You don't want to change something that's working at 110%. Bad idea. So they were basically setting me up to fail. They gave me this barber gimmick, said you're the barber, with no warning, no help, didn't tell me what I was supposed to do or how I was supposed to do it. And it was just setting me up to fail because there was nothing to do, nowhere to go with it. And I was so mad. I came out of this barber shop in Rochester, New York, came back to the building. It was a dumpy, old, crappy building. And I went into this old dressing room and it stunk, smelled like 40 years of BO. And I just started tearing up the place. I was ripping stuff and smashing and kicking. And somebody ran in and found Hogan. Said, "You better go find Beefcake. He's going nuts. He's going crazy." And he came in and said, "What's going on?" I said, "This is it. I quit." I didn't just put 3 years on the road in, and I mean every day on the road, not a couple here, a couple there. I'm talking about 360 days. out of the 365, all year round, all the holidays, all the extra shows on weekends, all the TVs, all that, only to have them throw that out the window and say, now you're the barber. I didn't know what to do, where to go with it. And Hogan said, what if you used the sleeper hold like Roddy did, and because the sleeper was over big time. And, you know, I had pretty good size arms, the 21s then. And so put the guys in the sleeper and then get the scissors out and you cut their hair. And I said, damn, that might actually work. But it'd have to be every single time, every match. When they get the sleeper hold, they get a haircut. And it has to happen. And so, I mean, the only person that could make that happen was Hogan, going to Vince saying, look, this is what we're going to do with Brutus, blah, blah, blah. He actually loved the idea. He thought, you know, and the whole barber thing, you know, and just the crazier eyed, the wild eyes and everything. I came up with the idea to, instead of a little pair of scissors, to get the big shears and come out there. I'd chasing everybody around with these big things. And the crazier I got, the more the people liked it. They just, everybody would just go, they were going wild over it. And it was so self-fulfilling, satisfying for me because they really didn't want to see me succeed. And I wound up taking it to the mountaintop. I mean, to the moon, to the stars. And they wanted me to fail, and I did the exact opposite, and went wild with it, and went and ran with it, and it became one of the top characters in WWF history.
At SummerSlam '89, you're in the main event. You and Hogan teaming up against Zeus and the Macho Man. There was Sherry and Liz on the outside. What was it like? You know, you're headlining a SummerSlam. You're in this top match. You're getting to be in there with Hogan. What was the experience like?
That was a lot of fun, actually, but it was a lot of pressure on us. We had to take Zeus, his real name was Tiny, believe it or not, Tiny Lister. But he was really a super nice guy. He was a monster, though. I mean, they put these big, giant, like 4-inch platform stacks on him, so he was like 7 foot tall or something. I mean, we got to take this guy. He's an actor, and but it's a big difference between being an actor and then being a wrestler and being, you know, first of all, an actor just plays to a camera. When you're now suddenly he's got to get in front of 25,000 screaming fans, you know, looking at you from every, you know, 360 degrees, and he was nervous as hell. And we got to take him through a pay-per-view where there's no, you know, 10-second delay, where there's no do-overs, there's no stop, okay, we'll fix this, and then start going again. Everything we do is got to be perfect, or it's no good. You know, this is a big pay-per-view. And so, I mean, we you know, all the players got Macho Man. He's freaking out there half the time. You never know what he's going to do. And Sherry Martel, same thing with her. She was crazy. And so we got all these players and running around out there. And I mean, we pulled it off so perfectly that you know, I was amazed. I was like, I don't know how we did that. By the grace of God, He helped us or something. Because that could have went really bad. Instead, it went really good. And so they decided, all right, we'll do another one. Only this time, we'll do it in a cage. So we do it in that big blue steel cage. Oh, it's terrible. It was the worst. I mean, most cage matches, the cage match was done in like a chain link fence thing, and so you can run and bounce off the ropes with the chain link fence or smash into it. Everything, it doesn't hurt you. It might scratch you up some, but that big blue steel cage. It was like the freaking floor, and if you hit your head on it, oh, you had a freaking knot or you were bleeding. I mean, it was terrible. It was hard, really kind of hard to have your standard cage match in that thing. But it's easy to climb up. So if you concentrate on climbing up and fighting, going up and down on it instead of smashing into it, then it was easier. And we had a ball doing it, and we pulled it off again for a second time.
And you also, for SummerSlam, you guys rehearsed the match the night before, which you never do, right? Like you said about that in your book, that you guys, the four of you, at the Meadowlands, kind of went through the match the night before, I guess, to make sure that Zeus would be able to do it.
Yeah, we did. We actually did. We did walk through for sure, because it was too much at stake to allow something to go bad, and then and what would happen was if something went bad, then it would just be a snowball. It'd just get worse and worse and worse. So we had Zeus pretty loose in there, and he was more confident. And we had a couple catchphrases like, if we saw him kind of get the deer in the headlights look, we'd yell, "Free James Brown! Free James Brown!" I have no idea why he liked that, but sorry about the mic. But for some reason, as soon as you say that to him, he would like calm down and then concentrate on where he was and what he was doing, and then we kept him in the game there and do the match and everything, and it was just super fun.
At WrestleMania 9, it's you and Hulk. This is the Mega Maniacs against Money Inc. And it was great to see you back in the ring, but it was a weird fit. You and Hogan as a team, the month before. It's the middle of the card. How did the idea come about for you guys to be in a team? Because at this point, Hogan's kind of half foot out the door of the WWF.
Yeah, well, he had been, he'd done the thing with Macho Man, team with Macho Man. We had teamed up at SummerSlam. We had done well, so I don't know. They were trying to figure out something for that WrestleMania, and I came back did the first Raw in New York City ever, and it was Money Inc. came in and hit me with the suitcase in the head, and then so that was our angle for the pay-per-view for WrestleMania, and I don't really know why. Like you said, Hogan was 1 foot out the door. He was going to start filming a movie called Thunder in Paradise first, and then film a television series called Thunder in Paradise with Superboat and lots of stars. Carol Alt, the supermodel, Marty, and Chris Lemon, Jack Lemon's son. And we had some really great people, and the show was good, and it's like my last match turned out to be a WrestleMania, and actually we had got our hands raised at first, but then they realized we were both leaving, so they couldn't exactly give us the belts since we won the match, so they had to reverse the decision and throw some stupid excuse out there or whatever. And that was and then Hulk ran back in the ring for an Yokozuna match and all that. And it's like, all I knew was at least I got to go out on top, and they didn't beat me down like a dog, like I've seen them do to a lot of other people. I'm actually the only living guy that has never been pinned in WrestleMania. Even Cena and The Rock, all these guys, Hogan, everybody, they've all been pinned in a WrestleMania. Not me.
So Because obviously at this point you're also you're riding with Hogan all the time, and you guys go and you go to New Japan, you have a match in New Japan, and then Hogan is the WWF champion, but he goes on to New Japan TV and says that the New Japan belt is the most important belt in pro wrestling, while he has the WWF belt on the table. What's going on at this point? What's the relationship with Hulk and Vince? Because it seems strange that Vince puts the belt on him at WrestleMania 9. You guys are still in the company technically, but they're not using you guys really. What was going on?
Well, Vince was still, madly in love with the Ultimate Warrior. He was, the Ultimate Warrior was going to replace Hogan. Unfortunately, Warrior wasn't up to the task. I mean, wasn't that Hogan was that good, but Warrior was that bad. I don't know. It might have been time. The way it worked out okay. He had really run his course, for 10 years as Hulkamania, running wild and ripping the shirt off and all the posing and stuff. And it was time to turn the page a little bit on that thing. And then, WCW was always hanging around because we were at Disney World filming. And next thing you know, they're bringing us in to start doing their pay-per-views and stuff and everything. And then that NWO thing just caught fire and just took off. And the company, the company there for Ted Turner had never really made any money. It was always Ted Turner loved wrestling, and so he just poured money into it. But it didn't make the company wasn't making any money. When they cooked up the NWO thing and all that, it turned around. And we had the Monday Night Wars and the Nitros and all that stuff, competing with Vince back and forth and back and forth. The wrestling business was just roaring. It was on fire. The competition was fantastic. Competition is what you have to have really in a business to really bring out the best of the company, the best of the workers, the best things out there is generated by there being competition. And Vince wanted to just have everything.